You want to marry somebody that's going to be a great mom and has great morals and high values and someone who loves the Lord. And so she had all of those intangibles. Man, I knew that was the one for me.
When Dale Forehand saw Gina in church one Sunday morning, he knew he had to meet her.
Dale had a lot of spunk, a lot of love for life, but he loved the Lord.
Still in college, the two dated for 4 years before marrying in 1988.
We were doing a lot of the things that we were told to do, what the world tells us to do. You know, get married, have 2 kids, have a nice home, climb the corporate ladder, you know, go to church on Sundays, spend your time at the golf course, pour your life into your kids. The problem with the American dream for families and marriages is this, is that you can get so busy chasing that dream, you can lose each other in the process.
Dale and I were married for 7.5, almost 8 years. When there was just kind of this slow erosion that began to take place in our marriage. A lot of disconnectedness.
The arguing turned into yelling, which in turn ended in silence. The fighting escalated and Dale couldn't take it anymore. Determined to regain control, he kicked Gina out of the house.
I just kind of threw the gauntlet down one day and I said, Gina, I'm done. I'm done with you. I'm done with this marriage. And I take her suitcase from underneath our bed, and I take her clothes out of her dresser, and I throw them in that suitcase. And when I get back, you better be gone. So I went and played golf and delivered my kids to a swimming pool. You know, I just kicked my wife out of the house. I had just ended my marriage.
I felt like my world came crashing down because everything that identified who I was as a mom and a wife and where I lived was suddenly, you know, just gone. And, you know, what do you do with that? So you just kind of feel like you're standing in a driveway with a bunch of broken pieces in your hands, and how in the world is something good going to come out of that?
Several days later, Dale and his twin brother took the kids out of vacation Bible school and left town. When her kids disappeared from church, Gina immediately filed for divorce, determined to get full custody of her children. Dale wasn't giving up without a fight. He returned, and they took it to court.
After we went to the courthouse and finally got before the judge with our lawyers, they said to us, if you want custody of the kids, you need to stay in the home with them. So we lived in our house together for 15 months. He lived in one bedroom, and many times I cried myself to sleep. I can remember that the prayer that I could get out was 2 words, help me. And, you know, I think now looking back, it's probably the best prayers I've ever prayed in my life.
The nights were filled with prayer, but the days were filled with divorce and custody battles.
It's about gaining stuff that you can use against them in the court hearing. And you got 1.5 years to do this almost. And so what do? Man, you begin to start wearing tape recorders. And you begin to start saying things, see if you can make a fight out of it and get them to say something or to do something or to scream or yell or be violent. And so the antagonism rises and the pressure rises. And so even though we were under the divorce decree, so to speak, or pending our day in trial, the fighting didn't stop.
There is a fine line between love and hate. And, you know, it still amazes me that I could go from loving someone so much to absolutely hating someone so much.
Dale and Gina were the first couple in their county to receive joint custody. They were not happy about their tie. Several months into the divorce, Gina was exhausted from the continued fighting.
I just remember just having this breaking point in my life like it hadn't stopped. You know, the whole point of this divorce was for this to stop, and it hasn't stopped. I just opened my mouth and out came, what are we doing? What are we doing? Would you come home and let's try to fix this thing? And I promise you, I looked behind me like, what was that? Where did that come from, you know? So it kind of took Dale back. He was like, excuse me, you know? But I think that was kind of this moment that was a huge turning point for us.
I'm in a huge battle between my lack of understanding about how to do it. You know, how do you even begin to reconcile a broken marriage? I needed my marriage to be restored. I needed my soul to be restored. I needed restoration, not relief.
Dale and Gina worked through each and every issue in over 1 year of Christian counseling. With much prayer and forgiveness, Dale and Gina remarried, determined to keep Christ at the center of their second marriage.
I just remember standing there going, thank you, God, for a second chance. Thank you for restoration, for that you have proven yourself faithful. I was more in love with her at that moment than I'd ever been before that time. My love for her was new. It had changed.
Two very different people. But I can honestly say, Dale and I both were very different people. The way we approached life, the way we saw our purpose for life, the way we saw our identity, the way we saw how we parented. I mean, everything changed because Christ was now the center of it, where he had kind of just been a part of it, but not really the core, the center of it.
13 years later, Dale and Gina are more in love than ever and amazed at how God was able to put the broken pieces of their marriage back together.
God is a redeeming God, and he has taken those years the locusts have eaten and restored those in our home and restored the hearts of us as individuals and our children and then us as a family. So it's been a great thing.
That the miracle of a restored or a growing or a thriving marriage is the one miracle that God really does want us to take an active part in. We have a part to play in the restoration of our homes, in the growing of our love, in the development of a marriage that would bring God honor and glory. And so, with his grace and his power, all things are able.